Hi everyone, so welcome to another academic video. Here in the UK, we are just a few weeks away now from semester restarting. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting back into the lecture theatres and seeing my students again. But I know for many people, the idea of having to teach or give a lecture can be pretty nerve-wracking. It can be nerve-wracking at all stages in your career, whether it's the first time you're doing it as a new lecturer, or maybe you are lecturing a new course this year, or you've got to give your lecture course in a different way. There are any number of reasons why we as academics can get nervous before we give class. So in this video, I thought I'd share 3 practical things that we can do to help make ourselves feel confident and ready to teach our university students. Before we jump into it though, a quick aside to say thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed to the channel. It is fabulous to be able to have this academic conversation on YouTube. If you've yet to subscribe, please think about doing it. Costs you nothing, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment, and hopefully you too can enjoy our academic community here on YouTube. But anyway, back to the video and back to things we can do to improve our confidence about giving a really good class. These are hopefully practical things. So the first one is all about timing and importantly the time that we arrive to give our lecture class. So many of us have been doing things online, so we've been having hybrid teaching. So I've been giving my lectures both online recorded and actually in the classroom with some lecture time as well. One of the things that is really important to me is when I have to give a lecture class, I like to turn up 15 minutes before my lecture class is due to start. Now, at my university, and I'm over here in the UK, lectures typically run for 50-minute slots. They start on the hour and they finish at 10:02. And those 10 minutes are really important because it's the time to change over the students and the lecturer in the lecture theatre. So I arrive typically, as I said, 15 minutes before. I wait outside for a few minutes. Then at the 10:02 mark, I make sure that the academic who's currently teaching in the lecture theatre I'm going into has spotted me. Usually I give them a minute or two's kind of extra grace time because everybody knows that sometimes lectures overrun. But if we're getting near the 5:02 mark, I then politely knock on the door and start to enter the lecture theatre because those 10 and 5 minutes are vital time for me to get myself ready with all the equipment so I feel calm and collected before the start of my class. We have so much IT in lecture theatres these days. You know, there's PowerPoint, there's computer displays, there's visualisers, there's audio equipment, there's smart boards, whiteboards. You know, there is so much tech going on. And it's getting even more complicated because many of our lectures have to be recorded. So we're recording them both live. We might be using pre-recorded capture content at the same time. We have to get microphones ready. With the COVID regulations, there's a lot of things to be cleaned at the start of a lecture as well. There's quite a bit of prep to do at the start of a lecture. So don't be afraid about asking to get into the lecture theatre if it is your time to teach. You know, make sure you get to your lecture room or your lecture classroom in good time. And also there's the added benefit that whilst you're waiting outside for your lecture to start, you might get to talk to some of your current students. So quite often my students will be waiting outside the lecture theatre at the same time as I'm waiting outside the lecture theatre. And rather than ignore them, I take it as an opportunity to have a conversation with them, see how their week is going, give them a heads up about what we're learning that day. It kind of helps break the ice between you as the lecturer and them as the class and the students attending your course. So yeah, get to your class an appropriate amount of time early so you feel comfortable that you can get everything set up. The second practical thing that I do to help give me confidence in a lecture theatre is I make sure that my written and visual materials are in at least 2 formats. I teach physics, so I'm teaching derivations and kind of physics ideas and principles and concepts. Quite often I will use handwritten notes and do handwritten derivations for the class, and I'll also be using PowerPoint and visual content. Now, what I like to do is to have a backup of all my PowerPoint kind of graphics and slides and figures printed out in my backpack. and they are there for emergency use only. So if for any reason I can't get the computer to play my slide deck, I've got a pack of hard copy paper visuals and graphics that I can put underneath the projector in the lecture theatre and continue my class. So yeah, one thing that I do that definitely improves my confidence going into the lecture theatre is to make sure that I have my notes not just on the computer, but also a hard copy in my backpack. Now that is going to be subject specific. Maybe you don't use visuals for your lecture theatre, maybe you do your lectures in a different way, but definitely for the STEM subjects, the science, technology, engineering and mathematics, I think most of us will be using PowerPoint or some kind of slides and some kind of visual way of showing graphs and equations and numbers. And so yeah, that hard copy for me is a vital part of my lecture prep. And the third thing I do to be practically ready and lecturer confident is I am prepared for the challenging questions that might come my way. One of the best things I think about being a lecturer is the dialogue we get to have with our students. They can ask brilliant, thought-provoking, wonderfully intriguing questions. They can also ask questions that are very difficult or things that we might just not know the answer to. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I had to learn as a new lecturer, is I felt when I started doing this a few years ago that I should know everything and anything connected to my lecture course. And actually that's not the case. You know, I am there to impart the knowledge that I know about that particular lecture course, but every now and then a question might come up and I might think, oh, that's really interesting. I don't know the immediate answer to that. You've taken our thought process off at a tangent and I don't have an immediate response. And so then rather than feeling awkward or difficult at the front of the lecture theatre, I like to be prepared for those questions. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, if I get a challenging question, I might try to answer it. I might do my thought process out loud so the students can see how I think to tackle that kind of question. Or I might direct the student to one of my pre-selected set of resources to see if we can find the answer there. So I'll have a couple of web pages, I'll have a couple of textbooks, maybe a few kind of reference papers where possible topics that might come up that might be connected to my lecture theatre or lecture kind of conversation could be covered. And so if I get a challenging question or a question that I just don't know the answer to, I will be honest, I'll direct the student to one of those resources to have a look at, and I'll ask the student to pick the conversation back up with me the following week on a tutorial to make sure that we can address that question and answer it properly. But I don't feel obliged to answer every single question on the spot in a lecture. We have other opportunities for email, for drop-in office hours, for tutorials, for follow-on lectures. There are other opportunities for me to help answer questions if I don't know them immediately on the spot. And giving you that breathing space to think, okay, if I don't know the answer, it's not the end of the world, can really help your confidence when you're giving your lecture class. So hopefully those 3 things might help you if you're going off to give your lectures in a few weeks' time. If you are new to the academic world of lecturing, all the best for those first few lectures. It is quite a daunting situation. I will talk probably in a future video in a few weeks' time about what it's actually like to walk into the lecture theatre and to deliver class. We are often teaching by ourselves, so we are relying exclusively on our own kind of ingenuity and content and knowledge to get through class. So it can be quite an adrenaline rush and quite exciting to give a lecture theatre session. I personally really enjoy teaching live. For me, it's one of the highlights of the job. I really enjoy that interaction. So yeah, for me, it's a positive, but I know for many people, it can also be quite nerve-wracking and difficult to give those lecture classes. So good luck if you're preparing for a lecture series right now. Have a lovely last couple of weeks if you're not back at university yet. If you're getting ready to go off to university, we look forward to welcoming you when you start your courses soon. Please do, as always, subscribe, leave me a comment, like, all that really fun YouTube stuff so we can connect together and have our academic conversation continuing on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching these videos, and I'll see you all in a week's time. Bye.